Shut up and sit down.
The push bike has made a big comeback, and that's terrific because riding push bikes is a really healthy pastime.
Let's show 'em what we do. Leg out. My bike.
Who did it?
Lance Romance.
Really? Lance, come here. It's week 9 and Lance is still making rookie mistakes. I want Lance to learn these things because if he learns them, our whole crew benefits from it.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Check it out. Yeah, y'all, here we go again. Turn it up. Bring the noise. You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Bass, how low can you go?
Hey, I'm back on my bike. I don't need a car.
Joey Jojo! Hi, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance.
In studio.
I was just going to see what happened after I said
That's
that.
what's going to happen.
Freaking Hepler.
Lance freaking Hepler.
To his right, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking pretty good. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
I need a haircut.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's make it happen, guys.
Not here today, Evan Price.
Not Evan Price.
He's working with the
Missing
kids.
in action.
Yeah.
He's through the glass window.
We can see him.
see him.
We can almost smell him.
But he's working.
Someone needs to work around here, guys.
Hey, let's backpedal. Matt,
I can
go.
be really fast. I have fallen into my standard routine of getting my hour in each day, whether that's Zwift or going up to the Camas High School cross country team and doing my mountain biking, or occasionally sneaking out for an easy hour. I'm not doing that much. I am swimming occasionally, not running much, but yeah.
Well, at least you're doing it.
But you're out there and you're doing it.
So
I'm
the
doing-
day this comes out, you'll be on day 50. You'll be halfway done.
Day 50, okay.
Halfway done. Halfway to Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's fine.
Pretty crazy. Lance, are you still on track with this?
I'm still on track, as
good.
is Brandy Hepler.
Yes, she
still
is.
on track.
How'd it go?
Yep.
Cool. I'm probably a little bit more boring than even you are, Matt.
No, boy.
Yeah. Well, actually, I did get just over 9 hours in last week on the bike. I only rode outside once. Womp, 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 womp.
Did you go out yesterday? After
I did.
Yeah,
it
that's good.
was a beautiful day out.
It was.
I was on daddy daycare duty, running soccer dad errands and all that other stuff, while my wife ran the Portland Marathon.
Congratulations.
Yep,
that
very
was
cool.
awesome.
And when she got home, she went and promptly sat herself down on the couch and put on the air relaxed boots, and
Yeah.
she didn't move for the rest of the day. And when she did that, I went out for a bike ride on the old gravel bike.
You went gravel, huh?
Went gravel. Yeah,
That's good.
I just have road apprehension these days.
Yeah.
Unless there's a group of people that I can ride with, I just tend to stay off road. And unfortunately, that's causing more problems in my shoulder. So good times there, but don't want to beat that one to death. Hey, Lance Hepler, you're a cool guy. You raced your bike. What did you? How many times did you race this past week?
I was just looking through this. I recorded 14 separate rides last week.
Oh my lord!
Were some of those warm up for races then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll
yes, I did. I raced my bike many times. 4 different times I raced my bike this week. I did go down to Twilight Cyclocross near Eugene, Oregon, a smallish race.
Wait.
Which,
Okay, go on.
Which
Go on.
day was that? Is that on a Tuesday?
It was on a Tuesday.
Bike racing with Lance Hepler.
Bike racing with Lance Hepler. It's cyclocross season, ladies and gentlemen.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, I raced in the 50-plus field down there. It's a small field, and I shouldn't have raced that race. I was...
You know what? You say that on the surface because you could have raced within a more competitive field, correct?
Yes.
But you're racing so much and you've got so much intensity. Me personally, I'm thinking about Lance needing a little bit of a down tick in his intensity. So maybe you go out there and you get that shorter bit of a burst.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of lock in and just hold your pace. And that's not you going out there breaking yourself in half.
Correct, yeah, because I went really hard for 3 laps and then chilled for 3 laps,
Sure.
but I won by a couple minutes.
Sure.
So I should have done more than one race that day, but regardless, whatever. I had a good time. Paul first even came down and raced, and there was a little bunny hop thing we could do. Anyway, that was a fun race. I hope more people come to it. So there's a couple more weeks left.
Did Paul get off his bike at all this week? Or did he jump everything?
He didn't jump everything.
Just about, though, yeah?
But just about. He jumped a lot of stuff.
Oh, my God. That kid's got some serious talent.
Many barriers. Went Tuesday. Wednesday, I drove to Spokane.
Oh my gosh.
For those
You
that
are
don't
out
know,
of control, dude. Your addiction to cyclocross is encroaching on your
Something's
everything.
wrong with me.
You have a problem.
Friends, something's wrong with me. What do I need to do?
that's a 5.5 hour drive.
5.5 hour drive, one way, correct.
Gosh.
Brandy and I and the dog jumped in the van and drove to Spokane.
Is Brandy your enabler? She like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, she is sick of it. Are you kidding me? She's like,
Here's an idea, honey. Why don't you grow your mustache back out?
she never said that, Matt. That never came up.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty positive.
Oh, man.
So I went. So this was kind of a funny story at this race. This was the third race in a 3-race series.
So they're done.
So they're done.
No more drives to Spokane.
No more drives to Spokane.
Your van thanks you.
Yes.
How did you do in their series? I mean, I call it their series.
Their
'cause
series.
It's not yours.
It's
you don't
not
belong
mine.
there.
I do not belong there.
Freaking poacher.
I was just coming in and poaching. I don't know. I did 2 of the 3 races. I took second in both the races.
So you're probably second or fourth or somewhere in there.
I'm probably second or something like that. The funny-
Bronze medalist, maybe.
Drive back to get your little medal.
Probably
I'm
need to go
going
back.
back. The funny thing was, I lined up in the 50 plus. The wave that I did, it was the 50 plus guys, the 60 plus guys, and then the beginner men. So there was like 3 different waves all going at once. And there's this one guy named Tom Reese who lives in Spokane. Turns out he is a cyclocross coach.
Yes.
So he coaches all the
You've
juniors.
raced him before.
I've raced him before, and
he's good.
He's good. So I started right on the front row with, bell goes off and I hit full gas. And it's about 100 meters to like the first like chicane turn that's kind of like a speed check. Tom Reese, maybe it's Rice, I don't know how to say his last name. He sat at the start line. They blew the whistle. All the 50s go, all the 60s go, all the juniors go, and he sat there at the finish line with his foot down until we all hit the chicane 100 meters away, and then he went. Yes, he spotted me like a 30-second lead right off the bat.
Wow. In a massive group.
It was 40 people
What is
or
he
something
doing
like
that for?
Because he told me, because I asked him why he did it the week before, because he's done this before.
Oh.
He says, I'm trying to practice passing.
Okay.
He said, I'm trying to practice passing like in crowds and in group, because you need that in big races. He goes, unfortunately, with these fields, everybody's so polite, everybody gets out of my way. They hear me coming and they move over. And so I don't get to like practice like tight passing or maybe a shoulder rub or something like that.
So is he not saying anything, just like practicing blowing by him, or was there a strategy he had, or were they just being all polite still and just still letting him get
people
by?
Still just being polite and letting him get by. And because it spreads out pretty quickly. So
Did you tell him that you'd be his Huckleberry?
Yeah, you'll be nice to him,
I'm
right?
your Huckleberry. No, it's like it took him 4 laps to catch me because he spotted me so much, and we were like away from everybody else. But I thought with 3 laps to go, I'm like, I think I got Tom. He spotted me too much this week. Nope. He got me.
Gotcha.
So he gets on my wheel. My daughter's there. She's taking videos. And I'm like, Tom's already caught me. He's on my wheel. And he just laughed and then whipped around me. So it was pretty funny. So that was a fun series to do. So it was a good time. The rest of the time, my wife and I, we found some fantastic gravel roads.
I saw some of the roads
Oh
that
my
you
gosh.
posted. Oh, man.
Some of the pictures I
Are
posted.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to just drive out there sometime.
I thought I might take my road bike because there's some great road riding around there, but it's all farm roads. And I'm like, there's got to be great gravel. So I started looking for routes, and I was not disappointed.
Mm-hmm. How did you find good gravel routes? Did you use Strava?
I did not use Strava. I used Ride with GPS search function to find rides near Pullman, Washington, like between a certain distance from Pullman, and I put gravel in the title.
Oh, okay.
And so
How is it they're that much better than Strava when they're like a drop in the bucket compared to the size of Strava? You would think that Strava would
I
just...
think Ride with GPS is pretty big. Aren't they a decent-sized company?
They're a decent-sized
Are they
company,
in
but they're not
Maryland?
Strava.
they're not Strava.
I mean, Strava with their heat maps and all of their new stuff that they put into the route planning and just giving suggestions.
So with Strava's route planning, you can say, I want to be off-road.
Yeah.
And it will plan a route for you, and it kind of heat maps. You know, it uses heat maps to find things.
Yeah.
But I've done some of those, and finding other people's rides on Ride with GPS to me is like it just seems better.
I did use the Strava one when I went down to Arizona for spring break for my kids' spring break, and same thing. I took my gravel bike with me, and I said I want it to be primarily dirt, off road and whatnot. And I'm like, all right, these routes look good. And there was sections in there where I wouldn't even gone down it with a freaking enduro bike,
It took you on some single track.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this was not single. This was like, all right, let's go jump off the side of a cliff stuff. But it was still like, I'm like, all right, that's not exactly what I wanted. And I did it every single day. I did a different route. And there was always little sections in there. Well, I guess the last one wasn't too bad. But there was still some stuff in there where like, all right, I'm getting off my bike and walking it because I have the wrong bike for it.
Right.
I think that Ride with GPS, though, because you can use the title search, the gravel, makes a big difference because people generally put that in their stuff. And
now, granted, when I looked at that, I only had like 5 or 6 different options, and I had to put 2 together to make the ride I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which made it complicated. I had to download both routes. Halfway through the ride, I had to like end this route, load the new route so that I knew where I was going, and that made it.
What were the routes like? Were you getting decent mileage? Were you getting?
We did like a 35-mile ride or something like that.
That's basically 2 routes.
Yeah, it was like a 9-mile route and a like 20-mile.
The pictures you posted were amazing, but then I was like, well, maybe it's just 3 miles of like a pretty spot, or who knows?
No, there was like a 6-mile gravel section and then like a 14-mile gravel section that weaved through a couple farmers' fields, but they were actual like dirt roads. They went from gravel to dirt, but it was sunny. It was like hero dirt. It was phenomenal. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah. People were like, oh, where was that? I want to go out there. I'm like, I am in the middle of nowhere in the Palouse, they call it.
Okay.
So that's what the region's called.
That's where we're going. Gotta go check it out.
That's what I did. Oh, yeah. So that was me and the wife and messing around with the daughter and the future daughter-in-law. And then we came back and I raced my bike all weekend too. So it was the last two races in the Harvest Cyclocross series on the Oregon Bike Racing Association calendar. Heiser Farms was the first one. We had a ton of teammates that showed up again. We had like 25 people that came to the race.
That's fantastic.
Lots of people. It was a really good time. I did the 50-plus race again. This time I got a fantastic start, like a super awesome start, and was actually leading the race for like a lap and a half with and me and 2 other guys kind of pulled away from everybody else. But we ended up they ended up kind of getting around me. Ended up 3rd in that race.
Not bad.
Yeah, which was
bronze medal.
Yeah.
And then Sunday.
So Sunday was the Zalder Cross race put on by a tireless fellow.
Yes,
our
which we
friends,
love
the
those guys.
Goritskis.
Yes.
Yep. I saw both of them there.
They're the best.
That venue, the course, the organization, it is such a great race. It's been 3 years since they've had a race there.
Yeah.
Because we weren't invited back one year, and then last year everything got canceled. So it was like super cool to have that race there again. So lots of people came still. It was well attended. It was just like a big party down there.
All a success, right?
Yes.
You didn't destroy the place too much?
No, because it was dry.
Okay.
It was dry.
That's why they didn't get invited back, I think.
Correct. There was like a really wet year, and we messed up a lot of grass.
Yeah.
And they weren't happy about that. But,
I remember like trying to reseed everything.
Yes.
Like, it was just like,
it's not the time of year to be reseeding grass.
No. But it's like they had basically worn paths in the
You got to go by sod and plunk that in. That's your best bet. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
bummer.
So do that.
That was good.
Yeah.
My race was started off as a bit of a disaster. If you go to my it's on the team Facebook page.
Yeah.
It's on the team Facebook
I think
page.
Jerry posted it or something. I don't remember.
I had a terrible start, which I'm glad I did all these races because you get this kind of crap out of the way. People are saying, enough with the stupid cyclocross races, Lance. Quit talking about it. I'm tired of it. I don't blame you. But I completely botched the start. Starts are very important in cyclocross. You work really hard to get a call-up so that you can be on the front row and get like a good start.
Yep.
And I blew my start at Zaldercross.
I loved watching that, by the way. That was my favorite part.
Video.
Just watching the whistle go off and then just seeing you just not go anywhere was so funny.
Dead still, and the whole field just goes whipping around me.
Where did he go? Because the camera kind of pans away from you.
Lance, you should have said that you're working on your passing skills for nationals. Come on.
That's right. Wait a minute.
That.
I was trying to spot the field
Finally,
so I could work on my
like
passing
20
skills.
people go by and you're like, there he goes.
Right.
Get on that bike.
I just at the start line, I lost my balance right before he blew the whistle, and I had to unclip my foot. So both my feet were on the ground when the whistle blew, and it was like the worst time for that to happen. So I was able to latch back on to the lead group, but it took me a half a lap, and I burned lots of matches to get there. I rode in like second place for a couple laps, but I ultimately got passed by two guys. I ended up fourth in that. So
it's still solid though.
It was still a really good result for me.
Where did you finish in the series?
I finished third in the series.
Podium,
in
baby.
the 50,
Bronze medal.
That's it.
So
Tough division, man.
it is a tough division. So I was super happy with that. It kind of sets me up good for the Cross Crusade series, which is coming up.
That's going to be...
There will be many more fast guys that will show up for that series.
Sure.
So for me to be in the top 10s in those races, I'll be like super happy. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for.
And at the beginning of the season, you said that you didn't have your fitness and that you were really aiming for sometime in October, November.
Correct.
Do you feel like your trajectory is on pace with where you want to be?
I think it is on pace for where I want to be. I think I'm trending in the right direction. I like my legs don't feel bad. My heart doesn't, I feel good.
Good.
Yeah, after all that racing.
Anyone else from the team finish on the podium for the series?
I believe Chris
Surratt
did. He won a couple of the Clyde's races.
Uh-huh.
So I think he finished on the podium.
You had some pretty cool video of him. He was racing. Was that Heiser? And you were riding like alongside of him, and it looked like this whole like rig, like doing like the Steadicam shot, like kind of chasing him. I'm like, that was really cool.
There was the grass race lane, but there was a paved road right next to it. So I was riding on the paved road with my iPhone, just filming with my iPhone, not even a GoPro.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you could just like pan with him really good. It just like followed him really well. And I got another one at Zaldercross.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
As well.
Which venue did you like better this weekend?
I gotta say Zaldercross. I think
it's unanimous. Every person I've asked, which is about a half dozen people, said the same thing. Zaldercross.
It's just a cool spot.
That's a great venue.
And there's so much unique stuff. I don't know. I really liked Zaldercross. It was pretty cool.
Well attended on the whole?
I don't think Zaldercross was quite as well attended as Heiser.
All right, and were both of them smaller than the Vanport the weekend prior?
Yes, a little bit smaller, a little further away from Portland.
He was at, just over 500 people?
Scott was over 500.
Where do you think those other two came in? I'm just trying to get a feel for like where the state of cyclocross is at right now.
I'm guessing there was 400 people at each race around there.
Not bad, but it was definitely smaller.
Yeah.
Down by 15-20%.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
It was good times.
Anything else?
Lots of fun. Just super proud of all my teammates.
Sure.
The racing they did, new people are showing up and racing. Jerry Pruitt has been doing a great job, rallying the troops.
Yep.
All the volunteering that happened, at Vanport, it's been really good. So we're hoping to continue all that with the Cross Crusade coming up.
And there's a couple big races this coming weekend, correct? Bridge City.
There is Bridge City Cyclocross. It's right like a view of downtown Portland. It's at Oaks Park, so that is a super hard course. That should be a lot of fun. I think we will have many teammates there as well. Saturday race and a Sunday race.
Yeah.
So
is it state championship?
It's the Obra State Championships on Saturday, and then on Sunday they're doing like USA Cycling age group races.
Isn't that kind of interesting that it's the Oregon State Championship this week, and yet we haven't even started the Cyclocross Crusade?
That's correct. Yeah.
How do you like that? Do you like that or no? Or do you think that it should be more towards the end of the season when everybody's got everything dialed in?
I don't
Because a lot
know
of
if
people don't even do the harvest, and like
No, they
cross
don't.
doesn't start until Crusade starts, and then
Right.
you're going to start with the state championship.
State championships.
It seems like they could have plunked that down somewhere a little bit differently, but
Yeah, I don't know. Cyclocross Crusade kind of owns the calendar in November.
true.
You know,
And haven't
so-
they typically been the one that is the? I mean, like Barton Park. What was it? 2 years ago, last time we had a cyclocross,
Yes.
that was their state championship
That
race.
was a state championship,
But
and it was one of the Cross Crusade races.
Yeah. And isn't that typically par for the course that the state championship race falls on the Cross Crusade?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's some discord amongst the higher ups between the two organizations that
Move things around a little bit.
I'm not sure exactly what happened. I know
Neither
that
am I.
Cross Crusade this year is only 6 races, and it's normally 9.
Yeah. Well, they
So-
lost Alpenrose Dairy. There's
lost
2 races right
Alpenrose
there. What
Dairies.
other race did they lose?
There is no Barton Park.
Really? Why would they not have that?
I don't know.
That's like a pretty easy venue. It was kind of like a semi-fun venue too for you, wasn't it?
Yes.
Get that big, long, steep hill that everybody would have to run up, and there's that big log at the top, and our own Paul first would ride up the entire thing, the only person, and he would jump the log.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you
Yes, he did.
get
He's a
up the hill
beast.
to start and then have enough momentum to be able to jump?
I take that back. There is Barton Park.
Okay.
There's Heron Lakes race, 2 in Cascade Locks, 1 in Rainier High School, 1 at the PIR infield,
Interesting.
and then
I thought we
Barton
weren't
Park.
allowed to race there.
No, I guess we are going back once.
Interesting.
Only.
So they'll basically be at PR twice with
They'll
the
be
Heron
at
Lakes.
PR
and-
twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at least they got races, right?
So no Kruger's farm at Sabi's Island.
Oh,
We lost that. That farm actually sold.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I thought that the new owners were pretty keen on the cyclocross stuff continuing on there.
That's what I thought too, but
Maybe not.
Yeah, who knows?
Anyway, this has been Crosstalk.
Crosstalk with
Crosstalk.
Idiot
It's gonna
Hepler.
be crosstalk for a couple more weeks, right?
Well, it's going on for a few more months, unfortunately.
Well, for you, it's gonna
Sorry, Matt. You have to put up with it.
Well, no, it's okay.
All right, so a lot of people are tuning in this week to hear us talk to the good folks over at Wahoo Fitness, and I got some news for you. It's still going to happen, just not today.
It got pushed back.
Which actually works out pretty well because it gives us a chance to talk a little bit more in depth about all of the questions that we have. We did put some feelers out there on the old interwebs asking folks what some of their questions were, and we have a lot of people that had commented on a video that we had made about Wahoo versus Garmin, and we wanted to ask them a bunch of these questions.
Yeah.
And Wahoo is 100% game to come on. They're going to talk about as much as they possibly can. They can't promise that they're going to be able to answer everything or give us the deets on some of these things because, sometimes that's just like proprietary stuff that you don't get to know until they're ready to let you know. But they are going through all of the questions. They're going to come back to us and they're going to give us all of the details that they possibly can. But we wanted to kind of talk about all of these questions that came up. There's some stuff in here that's, just kind of like, it's a question. And then there's some stuff that's like, that would be really nice. And I wanted to run through all this stuff just to see what comes up in conversation, to see if maybe there's some other stuff that we can add to the list when we do talk to them next week. And just wanted to get your guys' feelings on that. This list that we got's pretty long.
It is
I know
pretty
that
long.
there's, like I said, there's the full array of questions on there. Is there anything that stuck out to you in particular on this list that you really want to ask them about, that you really think that needs to be on the old Wahoo lineup?
The big thing that I want to know is why don't we have a Climb Pro type feature on Wahoo bike computers?
They kind of do, but it's just a very dumbed down version that's just like, meh. It's not nearly as effective.
But I also realize when I talk to a lot of people about Climb Pro, a lot of people don't use that on Garmin.
Well, a lot of people don't load routes into their computer before every single ride, so you're not going to be able to use that.
True.
But wouldn't it be nice if it had like segment recognition and like it knows the segment? If you're on the segment, it's going to give you the option to look at that. Because a lot of these devices know all of that data. As if I'm going to be out there chasing a segment and within that segment there's a climb, how's that any different than a route loading?
Right.
So maybe Matt can speak to that. I don't know, but it's pulling data. It's pulling data points from a point A to point B. It knows the distance of it, and why can't it just like have another variable plugged into that. Like, hey, you're doing this segment, and there's a climb in there. We're going to tell you how long that climb is, so you can pace yourself.
Right.
That would be fantastic. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's probably the knowledge of the climb, right? That's the missing piece.
Sure, but
Yeah, all the data points of it.
Data
right?
points. Yep.
But if there's a segment there, somebody's pretty much done it before, so you should be able to see the elevation.
But that stuff doesn't come across when you pull in a segment. You don't get elevation. Like if you look at like the data or GPS coordinates of a segment, it's going to be like GPS coordinates. It's not going to be like, here's the gradient of this part at mile 3 or whatever of the climb. So it's just a matter of where that data lives. And for example, Garmin probably is leaning back on a lot more of their route history. That's my guess.
Yeah. The data's
so much
there. It's
more
just a
data,
matter of
yeah.
kind of like integrating it into it so that you're getting that data package.
It's a big project, right? So I'm guessing that when you pull a route in on the Garmin, it's somehow like taking in not just like the route itself, but a lot more. There's some calculations to be done, right? So like they're looking at these climbs and they're like, first of all, is that flat road out there a climb? Well, it's not. We know that because we're human. But from a computer standpoint, well, you got to think like, okay, well, what qualifies a route? How much elevation is gained for a 200-meter section of that particular road? Well, there's calculations there. It's just like you have to be able to have some sort of formula to figure out what a hill is.
But it is capturing that data every single time I go out on a ride because I get back and I can see exactly what my elevation gain was. So it's kind of there. They just need to kind of organize it accordingly, correct?
Yeah, and come up with a platform or a structure to do it. So it's not like that it's not possible, right? We know it's possible.
It's
Garmin
not
does
as simple as us non-programmers think it would be.
It's not as simple as saying like we have the data already, just show us the map. They don't have the data yet to plug it in.
Could Matt Legrand design this? Could Matt Legrand make this happen on my computer?
They have brilliant engineers at Wahoo, first of all. They're great. So they're probably thinking about it and working on it, and they probably put a structure in place, and then it's a matter of collecting enough data to have it for a lot of locations. The thing that Garmin does well is they've been collecting mapping information since before they were a cycling company. Like they started as a mapping company. And I think that a lot of us kind of like forget like, oh, the reason that they're good at navigation, it's like these are really hard problems to tackle. And Garmin just has a history of doing it. And a lot of the other companies that are trying to do it are struggling because they don't have that history or they're not even trying, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
all right. Well, we'll say that it's plausible that they could come up with something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to see them do that.
And I'm sure that they are actively trying, but it
Wahoo
could be,
and Garmin, who's going to be first one to the punch there?
It could be years.
Make us happy.
Yeah, make us happy.
Wait, like the Karoo too has something similar.
Yes.
So where are they pulling their data from? They're not nearly as big as
they're using an open source like system for pulling in all of that climbing data.
Speaking of, have you had a chance to play with that thing yet? I know that you did, and
I've been riding with it.
Is it fair to ask you right now what some of your initial impressions might be?
I'm an open book, dude. You just know, like,
open book.
There's no like, I mean, if there's a product that I'm not allowed to talk about, I don't talk about it, right? So, but if for example, like, I don't have the product in hand and whatever, and then I'm free to speculate on a product. But the Hammerhead Karoo, I purchased myself, and I've been riding with it for a couple weeks, and I will put out a review. I'm thinking maybe another 3 weeks or so of riding.
Sure.
I haven't done a lot of testing on their hill feature, which is brand new. They just they did a software update. They do a software update every 2 weeks or so.
Really?
And it is good. Like they do a great job of like releasing really important stuff. There's crazy stuff like you finish a ride, and I'm testing this thing, so I'm like just like playing with it and all this stuff. You couldn't discard a ride. Like that didn't exist.
Oh, really?
That doesn't happen on Wahoos either.
Oh, you can't.
No,
discard
yes,
on Wahoo?
you can.
Yeah,
Are you sure?
I think you can.
You can.
If you finish a ride,
you
sometimes
can
they'll
make
even
it-
say, "Is Wahoo?" Do they say like that was a short ride? Do you want to delete this?
Yes.
Okay.
It does that?
It
okay,
does
because
that.
there was somebody that made a comment about that, and I'm like, oh, crap. I don't think that they do. I think they just said end ride, and you just say yes, and I don't think it had an option to delete.
It has a no. There's
Oh.
a yes or a no. Save ride, yes or no. You hit one of the buttons. You could say no, and it says, "Are you sure you don't want to save this ride?" And you can say no. I
Okay,
don't wanna
so what if you change your mind and you want to just go back to continuing the ride?
Oh, resume?
Yeah.
Is there a resume option there as well? Is there one of 3 buttons?
In the
I don't think there's a resume.
All right, I'm gonna have to go double check this.
I don't think there's a resume. I think it's just yes or no.
So
Once
like
you
you're in
end
the
it.
middle of your ride and you accidentally tell it to stop, then you're screwed. You either have to save it or no.
That's correct.
Well, that kind of sucks too.
Yeah.
I gotta go play with
But
it.
it takes 2 button pushes to get to that.
think
you have to
can.
hit
I
pause
think
and then
you
you
can
have to hit
resume
stop.
your ride.
Yeah.
I think you can resume your ride.
Maybe you can.
Maybe it's like, yeah, that's right. You're right. 2 button pushes,
Pause
and
and
then
stop.
stop.
Yeah.
And then discard or
save. It was
Right.
yes,
Okay, well, that's
yes,
good to
yes or
know
no.
because there was somebody that made a comment in our YouTube video saying that it's ridiculous that you can't have an option to delete the ride because he did something like where it like was a very short ride, didn't mean to do a ride, and then wanted to delete it, and then it wouldn't give him the option, and then it pushed out to all of his different platforms, and he had to go back to Strava and Training Peaks and delete it. And he's like, that's just a hassle.
which it probably like he probably meant like after the fact, after he saved it, and it goes, once that data's been pushed out, there's no bringing it back.
Correct.
Right?
You have to go to each platform
Yeah,
and delete them.
yeah. And so
and that's the case no matter what, and there's no engineering way to go about like, oh, I want my bike computer to be able to delete stuff off of XYZ company's website.
that part, that's ridiculous. But his insinuation was that it just wasn't even an option to delete the ride, and you could like end your ride and save it, or you keep riding. You get your choice. That's it. And so maybe it was an older iteration that was it, and maybe it's changed since then. I don't know. But
to me, I saw that immediately, and I was like, that's a basic feature that this Hammerhead Crew watch doesn't have. Literally, like a day or two later, software update. Now we can do it. And I was like, oh,
They
good
fixed
on you.
it. They fixed it right away.
In the week before that, or it was 2 weeks before that, it was like, here's our new hill climbing feature, and we're trying to make enhancements on that. And I'm like, whoa, these guys are like on top of the software updates.
They've got some like big names that are using them. Like, isn't Phil Guyman using them? And
I don't know. I wouldn't
I
surprise
think the
me.
Williams brothers are using them. They're all sponsored by them.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
It's interesting.
Don't quote me on that.
The one thing that's interesting is it's the whole platform is built on top of Android, so it feels like a mobile device. Like when you swipe stuff, it just feels normal.
It is a touchscreen.
It's a good touchscreen, better than any touchscreen on the market by far. And there were things where I was like, okay, I need to add a sensor like while I'm riding. I can't do that. And then I was like swiping around, and I just kind of like figured it out, and I was like, oh, okay, this is. It's just you got to think like, what would you do if it was a smartphone? Like we're so used to like Garmin, and you would like click into settings and go into add sensor. What would you do if it was a smartphone? Probably like swipe down, turn Bluetooth on, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what you do with this device.
Okay.
It's much more like a mobile thing, a mobile device that's a dedicated bike computer.
Just feels
There are
intuitive.
negatives for that. Like there are plenty of negatives. The computer itself it's not the same kind of battery level that we've kind of gotten used to. Like these computers that we're used to are like we're used to like 20 hours of battery life.
Yes.
And this is like 6 or 8 or something like that. And I don't know. Yeah.
Well, the Roam, when you're using that with all of the different sensors and whatnot, it really pares it down to about 10 hours?
Something like that. Or like 13, I think is what it gets down to if it's fully charged.
Kind of low, yeah.
Yeah.
That's because you've got a lot of sensors. I thought the Roam was like 24 hours or something crazy.
It depends on if you have the backlight on or on auto or off.
Okay.
It depends.
The backlight's the big draw.
Backlight's
and
the
then
big draw.
How many sensors you connect to is big too. It's just, I'm seeing less battery life from this device than I was expecting or than I was used to. So maybe that's one negative about it if I want to
The
stretch it.
Hammerhead, it's also big.
It's big.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
it's not as big as it used to be. The first
it was
iteration was like a
even
brick,
bigger. Yeah.
wasn't it?
It's I want to say 3.2 inch screen or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Is it bigger than the Roam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Is the Roam 2.8? Do you remember off the
I
top of your
don't
head?
remember off the top of my head. I don't really get caught up in those
Numbers.
details. Remember, that's too much to remember. But
Too many numbers. Too many numbers for us to remember. But it is smaller, the whole unit itself, than the old one.
Oh.
It's still pretty big.
The mount is the mount the same as Garmin, or
The mount is
another
different.
question.
It's its own proprietary mount, and it's very different. It slides on like it almost looks like this little kind of arrow piece, and you slide your computer onto it.
Okay.
I'm using my phone as a piece to. I'm not sure about that, right? Because they also have this little adapter piece that comes with the device, which I love. Wahoo doesn't do this, where you can do a straight up Garmin adapter piece. With
Wahoo does make one of those. You just have to buy it separately.
It doesn't come with it.
$15 or something like that for a stupid little thing that costs them a nickel. But yeah,
correct. It'd be nice if they just included that with. At least like the Roam, right? Like this is like your premium product. Like just include the adapter. Maybe people will never use it. That's fine, but it's just there. And so it's tricky because on my road bike I have the little Arrow, bike mount. But then on the mountain bike I have a Garmin mount on the stem, same one that your old mount.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I constantly want to kind of have like switch between those two things, and it's just not quite easy enough yet. So it's all right.
Cool. What are some other things that you want to see changed, or questions that you might have for Wahoo, or what else you guys got on that list? Anything in there? Lance said Climb Pro. What do you got, Matt?
Well, so one of the things that I think is interesting about Wahoo as a company is they're never going to win the like most features race, right? Like Hammerhead, maybe, because they're built on that Android platform. They can just develop stuff fast. It's so much easier to get 20 Android developers that have Java knowledge and they can just crank out features. Whereas Wahoo's going to be a little bit slower, I think, to develop massive amounts of features, and that's not their plan. They have no desire to be like the computer with the most features. But what they do want to do is have like innovative features, like their Rival Watch with the they call it touchless transition for triathletes, where they don't actually have to hit a split button.
Yeah,
it just figures it all out for you. One thing I would like to see them do is innovate a little bit more on the cycling side of stuff. One of the things that one of my friends mentioned was like, what if I can see you on this navigation screen, and I can see you on this navigation screen, like couldn't you press a button and navigate us to each other, like, or and they don't have that, right? Or couldn't you just be like, hey, can I find someone random to ride with? Like if I set a setting that's like, hey, I'm cool to ride with anyone that wants to ride, and I'm out riding right now.
Matt wants you to swipe right on them.
Swipe right. Swipe right. I don't know if it's swipe
left. Is that the right way?
Right.
I don't either.
We don't know. It's been a long time since we've been in the dating realm, and
that predates all of that
predate
fun
the
stuff.
internet
dating apps.
Yeah. So we need a cycling dating app where it's just like, I'm out riding. Swipe left or swipe right.
On the Wahoo, in the initial setup, you can make your location public, and I find that when if I have the map page up while I'm riding with the Wahoo, you see other people on there.
Yeah, you see me.
I've seen you.
I've seen you on there before.
Can you see people that you don't follow, though?
Yeah.
So
if the person has made their location public on the Wahoo app, then they have to have their phone on them.
Oh,
but
you do?
I believe so.
I would like something simple. Well, I guess it has to be because you have to be updating your location through the cellular network, right?
Yes, correct.
So I would like to see a feature where it'd be like, hey, if I say it's okay, like anyone can join me for a ride, which I would use a lot.
Sure.
Because like
just to ride with somebody else.
Well, I mean, I hit you guys up, like I'm going out biking in 5 minutes, and inevitably, like that's not enough lead time. So, sometimes it's just like I'm out riding for an hour, and if someone was like, "Yep, that's cool," I'm close by. Let's go ride with this guy, and you'd meet more people.
When I was riding in Spokane, I did another ride with Brandy along this beautiful river park in Spokane, and sure enough, on the map I see Jerry or something on my thing, and I'm like, oh, let's see who Jerry is. I'm going to catch up and come around the corner. It was a runner coming the other way, so it was on the
Rival Watch.
On the Rival Watch.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
Did
odd.
you say hi, Jerry?
You should totally mess with
Jerry. What?
Jerry, you don't remember me?
I missed a golden opportunity there.
I taught you science in 3rd grade.
That's what I should.
Was he younger than you or same age?
He was younger.
Okay, then you got to go with the teacher.
I should have gone with the teacher.
You didn't. You're not reaching your full potential, Jerry.
Do you guys want touchscreen on any Wahoo product?
No.
Matt?
I don't know.
I'm not a huge fan of touchscreens.
Nor am I.
In general. I think that they are very bad news for any sort of wet situations, the Pacific Northwest, rainy days.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or sweat. When you sweat on them. It's not
I have that issue.
I do think that there are times when it is extremely helpful to be like, oh, I just tap this button or hold this thing here and I can change the data field while you're on the fly. I think it's nice. I get it that you can pull out your phone and change data fields on Wahoo. It's not as fast as a touchscreen.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I would want. And if you could turn it on and off and just use it for basically doing what we're doing there, I think that it'd be nice to be a two-way street where like, all right, I love using my phone to change the Wahoo. I think that's fantastic. I didn't think I was going to like it. I love it. It's great, but it would be nice just to be able to not have to get my phone out, and if I could turn on the touchscreen and just hold something down and change a field really quickly, and then turn it back off and be on my way. It'd be nice if it was a two-way street to be able to do that.
The thing about doing that is you can do that without stopping.
Yeah,
which I've done several times.
I think a lot of the companies that make these touchscreens, they're so in love with their touchscreen that they're like, we're going to use it for everything, and you really want to use it sparingly.
Yeah,
and I've seen
it's too much.
Yeah, and I've seen like pretty much like don't use it unless it's like you're looking at some sort of data field and you want to be able to scroll through that data field. Like there's spots where it makes a lot of sense to have a touch screen, but you got to have some sort of way to lock it quickly or make the lock default, right? Like,
yeah, I have no idea too on this part of this question is how much do you think that would increase the price? Because right now you've got your Wahoo Element Roam is pretty much the same price as your Garmin 830.
Yep.
They're compatible, but one's a touchscreen and one's not. If Wahoo were to have a touchscreen and give you some of those capacities, I guess you could say, to make those changes, how much do you think that would change the price for them?
That's a great question to ask someone that's in the manufacturing side of things, right? But they probably wouldn't go into details on their costs for that particular. I mean, it's probably pennies on the dollar for those guys to be capacitive touchscreens are pretty cheap these days in manufacturing, I'm guessing, just because they're pervasive amount, with all the smartphones. It's just like they're everywhere. But I don't know.
What are the odds that we see touchscreen and better battery life and some increased mapping features and some other little doohickeys built into a Wahoo Element Roam that's getting a little long in the tooth? It's 2.5 years old now?
Yeah.
And coming out maybe in the springtime. Do we think that there might be something there? If you guys were to be gambling in, what would you say that they would change to make that better?
I would think they wouldn't add a touchscreen. I think they're like
in love with their setup now.
I think they're in love with their setup now, and just improving the navigation of it.
Can we all agree that they do have the best ergonomics, the best buttons, the best the indicator lights? All of that is good.
Oh yeah,
yes. It is
anti-glare.
It's a good device.
Yeah. It just little things like at first I'm like, oh wait, I can only put this on the mount one way. Like you have to put it a certain direction and click it in. Then if you stop and look at it, you think, well, there's two buttons on the side that you use to make things bigger and smaller. And if you're pushing against that and you push hard, it's not going to rotate off.
Correct.
You can push against it as hard as you want. So I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I understand.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's awesome.
So,
I think that if I were a betting man, I would say no touchscreen. I think that they're going to make a lot of minor changes like they did with the Roam, and they'll bump those up for the
better processor,
for the
bigger memory.
I said Roam, but I meant the Bolt.
Oh,
I think they're going to make similar changes that they made for the Bolt, the Roam, and I think they'll release it next summer. If I had to guess, I have no idea, but or
better
maybe
mapping,
next
more
spring,
memory.
maybe? Yeah, something like that. But I do think that eventually they'll do some sort of, they're going to have to come up with something innovative, right? So it's going to either be on the software side, which is fine, they can do that anytime, but on the hardware side, touchscreen would be a thing that they would sell more units if they did.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
probably do it.
If it makes enough of a change to the old unit, it would prompt more people to buy new units.
Because they'll need a Roam 3 at some point. And what are you going to do? You're going to add a touchscreen probably.
Yeah.
Question for you. Scale of 1 to 10. Mapping on a Garmin. What would you give that?
9.
Yeah, we don't have anything else to compare it to other than smartphones and things like that. So
we'll say that the smartphone's going to give you a 10.
Sure.
All right. Where are you putting Garmin at with their mapping? And the reason why I ask you is I just don't use it all of that much. I'm a creature of habit. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. Lance, on the other hand, uses
every
it
week
all the time.
Yes.
So if
I'll say less than smartphone. I'll say 7.
A 7. Where do you put the Wahoo? We'll just say that we'll start with the Roam.
The Roam.
If Garmin is a 9, I would put the Wahoo at a 6.
Yeah,
6.
It's not that much. It's not as good.
Yeah,
it's not as good.
And I said that the Garmin was a 7, and I would put the Wahoo at maybe like a 4 or something like that. 4 or 5. Maybe.
Interesting. So
Still, it's not bad.
If I'm following a route on the Wahoo, and I take a shortcut or cut a corner, even if I catch back up to the route, it wants me to go back to where I left the route. So I end up having to end the route and reload it.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, it just
might be better on the Bolt V2.
It might. Well, this is on the V2.
Oh, you're using the Bolt version 2 now?
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
We got all the toys and all the computers.
Me and Jake were always playing with the new stuff, so we're trying to figure it out. So yeah, so that part's kind of annoying, and like
street names and all the detail, it's not as tight.
It's not quite as good.
Wahoo.
Also, just this case with me out in the Palouse in Pullman, I had to stop because I went through 2 different gravel routes, right? And I had to stop and delete a route so that I wouldn't get lost, and I load the next route. I couldn't put them together.
Interesting.
And it was.
But that might be hard to do on Garmin, also, right? Would it having the 2 routes, or can you just you can kind of hot load the second route or whatever?
You can hot load the second route easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you got to think that there's going to be something coming down the pipeline with mapping, because they have to know that they're playing second fiddle to Garmin. Garmin's definitely going to be way out in front of them on that front. Granted, Garmin's been doing this for a long time. They're going to want to catch up somehow. Matt, do you think that that's something that's in their wheelhouse, or is that something where I think how does that even work on a computer? Is it something that they have to develop themselves, or are they using a third party and they're licensing to use their mapping?
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So give us a little bit more rundown of what you know.
Well, I don't know. That's Wahoo's proprietary stuff. I mean, theoretically, OpenStreetMaps is the API that they would probably want to use for detailed map tiling information. And
okay. So is Garmin using their own?
Garmin is probably got their own system
that they've built,
but I don't know.
It's so much data from years of.
It's a long time.
You think about
devices.
Aviation to cars to bikes to the whole bit. I mean, they've got the world mapped over.
The industry standard.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't catch up to that, basically. But it's not like it's impossible. There's all kinds of Google mapping APIs and all. I mean, there's tons of different companies that do it. The OpenStreetMaps is probably the way to go. That would be a feasible option. And I just don't know. My gut feeling is probably Wahoo's not using that, and it would be a big switch to it, and they would have to change all their features. Then it would just be a big development workload.
Sure.
This is just this is hypothetical. I have no inside information. Maybe they're using it. I don't know. But then that big process of doing that would take a while.
Yeah.
Maybe a year or 2. Maybe they will.
When I got back from my ride yesterday, I was uploading all my data, and before I turned off my Bolt that I was using yesterday, it asked me if I wanted to do a software update and said something to the effect of there's some new features with maps. Do you know anything about that? Have you seen that come out in the last week? I haven't used my computer but once in the last 10 days. So did you happen to catch that?
I haven't updated it. They don't update unless your computer is connected to
the phone,
a Wi-Fi or a phone.
Correct. Well, I just saw something. It's do you want to update this? And I'm like, oh, no. Maybe it was when I first turned it on yesterday. But I saw it at some point in time. I'm like, I'm gonna have to come back and check this out. I didn't want to just say yes. I wanted to go read about what it was first, and just so we could be fully prepared. And I just haven't done that yet. So I was wondering if maybe you did.
I did
that.
not. No,
Gotcha.
I haven't done it yet.
Well, there's something out there. We got to go take a peek at that. So
according to some random whatever forum that it says Wahoo does use.
That's my favorite forum, actually.
Random forum.
Random whatever forum.
According to them, they do use OpenStreetMaps.
They do use OpenStreetMaps.
Wahoo does, but who knows?
Huh. I'm curious to see how they make that better, because that they're going to. They want to, and I'm sure they're pushing.
Sure they want to.
How long have Garmin's been around for a long time. I mean, I've mentioned before, I started using them when they had the 305, and gosh, I think that was probably back in 2007.
Yeah.
That's what keeps jumping into my head. And they've had bike computers for a bit that use GPS. So you got to imagine that they've been around for 15, 18 years or something like that. using bike computers. And if you think about their growth over that same time, they've shown quite a bit of growth. I mean, their computers do a heck of a lot more, but at the end, when you look at how much time it's taking them to get from point A to point B, where they're at now, it's not like quantum leaps. If you think about what Wahoo has done since they first came out with their computer and what Hammerhead has done with what their stuff, they're doing stuff at a breakneck pace, and they're catching up. They're catching up to Garmin really quickly. They're not quite there yet on a lot of fronts, but in terms of like the form and the way that the user interface works and just the function of their devices, I mean, I've already made the switch over to Wahoo from Garmin. I just prefer their computers more. And you were talking about a computer that's only been out for, 4-5 years at most?
Healthy competition is always good for the public.
100%. 100%. So I'm just kind of curious what they're going to keep doing, because if they keep at the pace that they're going, they're going to catch and exceed Garmin, right? Unless Garmin's got something up their sleeve, they've got to know that their stuff is getting a little long in the tooth. It's a little antiquated in terms of how you have to go about using some of the devices. I think we're going to see some cool stuff over the next 3 or 4 years. I'm really curious to see what they have up their sleeve.
One of the questions on our list is, I think from Dave Goodman, he was saying like, where do you see this stuff in 10 years? I just thought that was like a great question because it's very open-ended, and I'm looking forward to you guys asking that question next week.
Sure.
I think that's going to be one of my favorite questions.
What do you think? I mean, what are you looking forward to see? I mean, there's a lot of technologies that have been built into cycling in general. I mean, computers are probably, the one that's been the most technologically advanced over the last couple of years. I'd love to see where that's going to be in 10 years. What do you think they're going to be doing for us?
My guess is that we'll follow the coattails of smartphones for a long time. So touchscreens, yes, but hopefully we have something, where people are thinking about the weather conditions that are paying there. But then just being able to have like an application ecosystem where you want the hill splitter type stuff, or
you can download that app into your computer.
Put that on there. If you don't care about the hills, no problem. Don't worry.
What about some AI in there, like a Siri or an Alexa, where you can actually have a conversation with your computer and you can get updates and it can tell you, hey, I'm going to coach you along. This is how you're doing today. Here's what we're doing on that segment. You need to push a little bit harder. You're 3 watts too low for this. I mean, that would be freaking awesome.
Or you're headed down this road. There's actually a safer route to take if you take a right and a left right here.
Having that data, that much data is super critical, right? Where it's like, and there's only a couple companies that are going to have that kind of stuff. Where it's like, most people don't bike on Highway 14. Like, don't go that route. Don't route me there. Like
down Mill Plain when you can go down McGillivray. How do you know that unless
you look at the data?
Unless you look at the data.
It's a big data problem.
I think AI built into these computers with bone conduction headphones that can talk to you, like you can hear everything.
Yeah. And keep in mind, we're still going to have glasses that are coming out soon too.
Yeah, I mean, Garmin kind of dipped their toe into those waters with the Insight, I think it was called. Yeah, it's kind of a goofy looking thing, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's not something that I would ever use just because it looks ridiculous, if you ask me. But to each their own. For the people that have used it, love it. They think it's great. But having that heads-up display on your glasses, that's kind of neat.
It may be something along the lines of like Apple does the Apple glasses. We know it's coming out, right? It's probably maybe 5 years away, but it's coming out soon.
Coming. Yeah.
But if the Garmin computer interfaces with those glasses, then Garmin doesn't have to make glasses. They can just have the computer brains do the work and then have the display be in the glasses. I don't know if that'll actually happen. Who knows?
I can tell you it will. At some point in time, it will.
We'll see.
If it's going to happen 5 years or 20 years from now, it's going to happen.
Apple has to be friendly enough to be like, sure, whatever you want us to display.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What about a Wahoo-specific radar? Do you think that there's some sort of...
That would be very cool.
If there's competition in the market.
Yeah.
Like, again, healthy competition. Good for the public. I think it would be
fantastic. I mean, the Varia radar costs $200.
It's like our favorite product.
It's one of our favorite products, and like you still will see people like Lance and I did a video. I think you've done a video about it too.
Oh yeah, I've done a couple videos about it.
You'll get people that'll comment and like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You don't need that. You need a mirror on your whatever." I'm like, you don't know that you need this until you use it, and then you get it. And there's so many people like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for making that recommendation. That is one of the best purchases I've ever made."
Yep.
Speaking of, I don't know if you know this, Matt, but did you know on the Wahoo computers, there's a customer, client, or somebody that comes in here to the lab is an engineer kind of guy, and he was doing some research on the radar, and he has himself a Wahoo Roam, and it works on the Bolt too. But you can actually go into the file and you can change the little car icon, and you can make that little icon whatever you want. His is the Starship Enterprise.
That's awesome.
You know, I was thinking about making mine like the little middle finger coming up, and like it's a car combined to flip you up or something like that. But you can change the little icon on there. I thought that was pretty neat. It's a very simple thing to do. He's like, it takes you like seconds to just swap the file out. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think GP Llama might have a video on how to do that if you guys want to check it out on YouTube.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think he probably put llamas on there. But yeah, that's one cool thing that you can do with Wahoo for sure. Is you can change your icon of your radar of what's coming through.
Yeah.
It's cool.
What are some things on Wahoo that are missing that you guys really want to see them integrate in time?
Better off-road trail data.
Trail forks integration?
Forks yeah.
Okay, we already talked about the better mapping in general. We talked about trail forks. What else did we already talk about? Oh, the Climb Pro. Talk about Climb Pro. What else is missing?
I would love a third-party application ecosystem, and that's a huge ask because it kind of means that they have to have like a programming. You have to dedicate a huge amount of resources to just being able to say, like, we're going to support this developer resource area.
Sure.
So that someone can come in and program and be like, oh, there's no Climb Pro. I think I can do that. And then they can do it. And they can write that. And then you can just choose to add that app.
So wouldn't that, in the grand scheme of things, be less expensive than having a dedicated team that has to go out there and build that from scratch, as opposed to just having somebody that's going to open up the conduits for all of these people to create all of these different things?
I don't know which one would be less expensive, because managing a whole bunch of random apps coming through and be like, oh, this one, will break your device, like this app, right? Like, well, we have to kind of police that. First of all, then you have to, you basically have to have like a system for an API so that these people can actually make these developments, and you have to teach people how to do it. I'm not even sure what programming language the core stuff is built in for the Wahoo app. It's probably like Java or something like that, or it could be something totally random. Garmin does this Monkey IQ language thing, which is horrible. It's kind of like Java, but like it's kind of their own thing. So it could be a big can of worms.
Gotcha. What about crash detection? It's not on the Wahoo products. It's on the Garmin products. Is it on the Hammerhead?
I have to think for a minute. I don't remember. I don't remember yet. I'll know by the time I do my
crash
video.
detection's great. I mean, Lance, we've used it before with you.
We've used it before with
Lance
me.
had his little go down on Palomar Mountain, and I got the notification. I think Brandy got the notification too, and we both looked at each other because we were already back at the van. We're like, something's going on. We got in the van, we called, and sure enough.
You got the notification before you were called to say, we need you.
Come scoop up Lance.
Yeah.
He's broken. So that's a pretty good thing to have. Granted, it does have a lot of false alarms, but I would rather...
a ton of false alarms.
Yeah, you get that notification. It starts buzzing and beeping at you.
My wife is, super. I'm sure it's like, if you have
already spooked,
a message that goes to your wife and she knows that there's a bazillion, she's still gonna be on edge.
Yeah,
it's just almost for me. It's almost like I need to turn this off because my wife's gonna freak out.
Nate Scott at the race on Sunday yesterday, he came rolling into the pit after he won his race.
Yeah,
he raced the Cat 4 Masters. He comes flying into where the team tents were, all excited and was high-fiving us, and his crash detection goes off. And he's like, turn off. My wife's at church. My wife's at church. Please turn off. But he got it. Yeah, it was funny.
That's fun. Now, somebody on one of the questions, or somebody made a comment that they don't have the live tracking, right? But they do on the Wahoos.
Wahoo does have live tracking.
Okay.
You have to opt in.
Gotcha.
Matt, you got to get out of here.
Yeah, I do. I got to leave.
All right.
Whoever that is can take my place.
Hey, one last thing. You got one last thing you want to throw out there? You got a video coming out?
Yes, there might be a watch announcement this week. I'm going to try to get it out. It's going to be one of those things where I get the device the night before and try to put a video out the next day. Those are stupid. I hate that situation.
So much pressure. You're up all night, right?
I'm probably not going to sleep on Tuesday night. This video comes out, or this will come out on Wednesday. Go check out the YouTube channel.
You got to
It's
compete
important.
with that Des Fit and DC Rainmaker.
Those guys.
Yep.
I actually am going to do a collaborative project with all these guys.
Oh, really?
Fantastic.
Really excited about it. Yeah. But they're just nice people.
They're good guys.
They're really, really good guys. But if you are not subscribed to my channel, what are you doing?
What are you even doing?
What? Do you even YouTube?
Do you even YouTube if you're not on there with Matt LeGrand?
Bye, guys.
Good job, Matt. See you, bud. All right, these people knocking on the back door are going to have to...
I'll answer.
Go solve that problem.
Damn customers. Matt's killing himself over here. Trying to leave.
Oh my gosh.
This is funny. This is
got it.
devolving quickly.
I got it. It's not broken.
You're all good. Don't worry about it. Just headphones. There's more where that came from. Cool. Anything else, Lance, that you want to see?
Those are like the main things. I mean, those couple of things, the things I'm most interested in.
Gotcha. I don't think there's anything else on the list that I really want to go through. We need to leave some of this stuff for next week when we do have Wahoo on, and then hopefully we can get some clarity on some of these things, because they have all these questions. They have all of them on here from everybody, and there are going to be some of these ones that they come back and say, yeah, you guys already talked about that last week, and you know that's already a thing.
But it'd be good to have the conversation with.
But on the whole, I actually quite love Wahoo, and I just wanted to throw out a quick disclaimer too. This podcast that we're going to do, this live stream that we're going to do with Wahoo, it's not paid. It's not them asking us to do anything for them for compensation. So this is all 100% our opinions, and we're gonna we're going to do this because we want to bring the information to the people, to you folks, to the listeners. So, and again, in full disclaimer, if people do want to purchase stuff, we do sell the stuff at the lab, and we do benefit financially from some of these sales, and that does happen. But we're not doing this because we're trying to make a buck. We're doing this because we love this industry. We want to help people out. We generally take really good care of people,
and we're trying to find out this information. And we get somebody like an exec from Wahoo, we want to be able to talk to them.
Exactly. So that's kind of that. So, hey, Lance, one last thing.
If you didn't see any of the highlights from Paris-Roubaix this last weekend, you should check it out. It was the first rainy Paris-Roubaix in like 20 years.
Wow.
And it was a disaster.
A lot of crashes, right?
Yeah, so the cobble sections, the roads are like crowned, right? They're not like level.
Sure.
They are high in the center lane and then dip down towards the sides, and they were wet and hadn't been used in a couple years because there wasn't Paris-Roubaix last year.
Sure.
The last Paris-Roubaix was in spring of 2019, so it's been
now
a long
on the
time.
whole for these cobbles. Is it just like walking trails? Do people just like casually ride their bikes on there, but they just don't race on it, and it's not used by cars?
That's correct.
Okay.
They're usually not used by cars. And so they're like covered in dirt and mud. And so it rains, and the crown portion of the road were super slick. So people, if you weren't in the ditch or right on the center line, people were like sliding out. So
hey, Lance, do we need to
Champ here.
nah.
Awesome. Well, it was a good race.
It was a good race.
Tubulars, are they dead?
That's the big thing with Paris-Roubaix.
Did they die this past weekend?
They may have died this last weekend. The winner, Sonny Cabrelli from Italy, was on tubeless tires, not tubular.
The brand new GP 5000 STR, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, STR, which has not been released to the public yet.
Correct.
But he won on tubeless tires.
And who was the woman that won
She was from Great Britain.
Yeah, gosh, I can't remember her name. I can see her face. I can see all the pictures. I can't remember her name. She as well was riding on tubeless tires, and I believe she was on Pirelli, if I'm not mistaken. So a big vote for both of those tire brands for putting winners on the podium for that big race.
The amazing thing was that Sonny Cabrelli out-sprinted Vanderpool.
Yeah, how'd that happen? Well, he's a big sprinter himself.
He is a big sprinter. It was, it's a 260-kilometer race or something. So
is Vanderpool 100%? Is his back all good?
I think so. I think he's back.
Back to form
all the way. Yeah. It was just a long way. I mean, Wout ended up 7th. He was like in the next chase group. They just missed Sonny Cabrelli.
If you haven't seen any of the results, if you have no idea what we're talking about, it's worth it. It behooves you to go just Google search and look at some of the images from the end of the race. Oh my Lord, these people were caked.
They're caked.
Like cake. Like Sonny Cabrelli, like he looked like he had like little windshield wipers on his sunglasses. I'm sure it was from his gloves, but everything else was just caked in mud, like a full-on thick layer.
Like they had to be pressure washed off, not get in the shower. They had to be pressure washed off before they went to the shower.
The pre-rinse before the
So pretty amazing. So yeah, it was kind of exciting race, and just watching like a 5-minute highlight clip from GCN or something like that is worth checking out. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Anything else happen in the other races this weekend? I know that we're not doing the whole lead out news. You were talking about a few other things that were just
Charm City Cyclocross also happened. There were 2 C1 races in Baltimore. Those were exciting, good races. Saturday was won by Clara Hansinger.
Oh, wow.
And Sunday she took second, I believe.
Okay.
So she had a great weekend out there.
Who did she lose to on day 2?
It was Maglia Rochette, the Canadian.
Okay.
Who went out hard on Saturday and then kind of blew up.
Okay.
But she ended up winning on Sunday.
So the one that Clara won, how much of a margin? Was it close?
It was like a minute and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or like minute 14 or something like that.
Okay. When's the U.S. Championship race?
It's in December.
Okay.
And we actually have 3 World Cup races that are happening in the United States that start next weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So not just like Category 1 races, which all these races have been so far. We have 3 actual World Cups.
Okay.
So that's exciting.
Will that bring the lights of Woot and MVP?
Potentially, anybody that wants to compete for the World Cup title for the year probably shouldn't miss 3 World Cup races.
Sure.
But I'm not sure those guys will do the whole cyclocross series. They may just stick to the European ones.
Gotcha.
Wout and Vanderpool.
They've had a long year.
They have had a long year.
Yeah, especially like pushing all of the stuff up from 2020 to the end of the year last year, not really having any time off and going straight into cyclocross and then going right back into the spring classics. They got to be tired.
Yeah, I'm sure. Plus, after just doing Paris-Roubaix.
Are you coaching them? Did you put them on your program?
Yeah, I am. Obviously not. I can't even coach myself.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Awesome. My one last thing is that we will be starting up. I guess it pains me to say this. We'll be starting up our Zwift rides on Tuesday night.
I refuse.
I'm pretty sure it's going to start up a week from now, which will be, if I'm not mistaken, what is that? The 12th? Is that the calendar? Is that right?
I'm going to have to reactivate my Zwift account. It has been deactivated for
I'm looking at the calendar.
7 months.
Oh my gosh, Lance, I did math right. Yep, it's October 12th. So that's when we'll get started. If you're interested in joining all of the gang here from the Dialed Podcast, as well as the Dialed Cycling team, as well as a lot of other folks. And what was cool about this is there have been other people from across the country that have joined those rides.
We'll have 40 or 50 people on the rides with us.
And it's a fun ride. It's got some nice little, some people's tempo, some people's zone 2, and then we have some hot sections at the end. And what's cool is we've got the Discord going so we can all talk to each other, and it's just kind of fun for people to interact and play bikes together. So we'll get started back on Zwift on Tuesdays. Right. So yeah, blah, 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 blah. So if you're interested in that, though, you're going to need to join the Dialed Cycling Strava Club, and that's where we post up all of the information so that you can get all of the how-tos and where-tos connect on that. And we'll do that.
Perfect.
Cool. Anything else, Lance?
That's it.
Good luck racing this weekend.
Thank you.
What other races are you doing during the week? Nothing?
I'm going to go back to Eugene on Tuesday night.
And then you've got Bridge Cities this weekend.
Bridge City on Saturday and Sunday.
You going to vie for the state championship?
No, I would. I mean, I'm going to try my absolute hardest. If I'm close to the podium, it'll be a victory for me.
And that one will be on Sunday.
No, it's on Saturday. Actually, the Obra State Championships are only for the Open 1-2 and the Open 2-3 men's and women's categories.
Just those 2 categories? That's it?
Yes. All the other ones are non-championship races. Yes. That's the way they're doing it this year.
Huh. Why?
So, I'm not sure.
Huh. Okay.
Yep. And on Sunday, you race in your age bracket, regardless of your category. Sunday's races are 5-year age categories like the USA Cycling.
Is it a USAC sanctioned race?
I think so.
Is that why they're doing that then?
Trying to get points for nationals.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, if you're a Cat 4 or a 5, you can race in a beginner field.
Sure.
But all the rest of the races are in your 5-year category, regardless of your category. So.
Cool. All right. Well, sounds like fun. Enjoy that. I
right.
may or may not come down and watch and heckle and take pictures, yell obscenities at you.
Beautiful course to take pictures. I'd be happy to I love being heckled.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, please heckle me. People hassle me all through when I ride. I get hassled about my mustache. I love it. It's hilarious to me. So.
Yeah, make people wear armbands that say heckling approved or no heckling.
But kids, don't heckle the kids. Yeah. Encourage the kids.
Correct.
They don't get sarcasm sometimes, and please just love and encourage the kids.
Gotcha.
I won't say anything.
That's a good parting shot right there. All right, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week with Wahoo, hopefully. Until then, bye for now.